Do you guys remember the Blair Witch Project? You know, the movie that was shot for next to nothing and made over 4,000 times its budget in box office sales alone. This little independent horror film took the world by storm and truly defined the found footage genre. It was the perfect mix of marketing using the innate trust that was found in the early days of the internet, which claimed that this movie was based off of true events, and that fact alone made people surge onto the planted website faster than minion memes infecting Facebook in the 2010s. The website had faux police reports, postings about missing people, even news-style interviews hinting that the movie itself wasn't fictional but was in fact found footage. To keep this idea of realism, the film used a subversion of expectation against its audience, using no soundtrack, shaky and purposefully unprofessional camera shots, and actors that were completely unheard of. I digress, because today, we're not watching the Blair Witch Project. We're watching the Blair Witch Project 2, Book of Shadows. And first question, why is it called Book of Shadows? Does it revolve around like a found diary or an Necronomicon-styled The Evil Book? And no, there's no book in this movie. I mean, there are some books, but there's not a book. It's just called that because someone thought it sounded cool and creepy. Nothing to do with the book. Book of Shadows opens up with some real styled news clips and interviews with residents of Burkittsville, which is the town where the Blair Witch Project took place. Now, there are two things that this movie really wants the audience to understand. Like, these 2 points feel emphasized in character lines throughout the entire movie, alright? Number 1, the first movie, the Blair Witch Project, is not real. It was a work of fiction. Even in the sequel's world, the first film is a fake film made by people to scare its audience. And number 2, the people who made Book of Shadows definitely saw the Blair Witch Project and they loved it. The characters in the film are all fanatics of the first movie, and that's fine, and it makes for a pretty good time, but that's not where it stops. In the backgrounds, you can see old photos of alleged victims in the Blair Witch lore. Scattered all over the place are images of those little stick figure thingies, and just planted around are dozens of callbacks to the first movie, despite them being adamant that the first movie was not real. So we follow a dude named Jeff, who is a big-time Blair Witch fanatic. He lives in Burkittsville and has opened his own Blair Witch tour company to take tourists through the nearby woods. The other main characters are his very first tour group, and they all love the Blair Witch just as much as Jeff does. We've got Steven, who's currently writing a book on whether the Blair Witch is fact or fiction, his wife Tristan, who is pregnant, Erica, who's a Wiccan that wants the Blair Witch to become her mentor, and Kim, who, stereotypes aren't cool, like don't judge people and all that, but Kim is a character that you can tell loves death and decay and scary movies. She's perfect for the Blair Witch fan club. And also she's a psychic.
God, a way of life, a documentary on you.
So Jeff drives everyone to the woods where they plan to camp out in the old foundation where the Blair Witch tapes claimed to have been discovered.
If you don't believe in the Blair Witch, then why the hell did you bother to come?
I thought the movie was cool.
Erica starts doing crazy Wiccan things, but she swears that she's a good witch, and she believes in karma, and she's trying to dispel any evil in their camp. So I'm sure they've got nothing to worry about. They spend the night drinking and smoking and talking about their beliefs.
I don't even believe in the devil, okay? That's a Christian concept. I believe in nature.
I hate nature.
But the vibes are ruined when another tour group shows up and say that they have permits to allow them to stay at this campsite for the night. Our group pulls a little sneaky one on the other tourists and claim that they saw ghosts and scary stuff up by Coffin Rock, which is another Blair Witch lore location. So the other tour group decides to hike up and stay there for the night instead, so crisis averted. I'm sure everything is going to be just fine.
They're not coming back.
Why do you think that?
I just do.
They keep drinking and smoking and dancing and madness, and suddenly, they all wake up the next morning. None of them can recall the last few hours of the night, and worse than that, all of Stephen's notes and book drafts are shredded and completely destroyed. Also, Jeff has been filming quite a bit, but he finds that all of his cameras are either missing or destroyed, and that all of his shot footage is missing. Kim says that she can psychically see Jeff's missing footage somewhere nearby, and she points at a corner of the foundation to where she can feel their psychic-y signal the strongest. And this is the exact spot where the footage from the Blair Witch 1 was apparently found, so ooh, that's so spooky. They find the missing film and question what happened or who put it there, but Tristan has started to act really weird. She had a nightmare about drowning a bundle of nothing in a river, and now she's not feeling too good. She reaches down to find blood, so they rush her to the hospital, where the most nurse-looking nurse that I've ever seen tells her that she lost the baby. So, yeah, Tristan's all haunted now, or something, and her health has made it so that she and Stephen can't travel back home for a few days, but Tristan also really doesn't want to stay in the hospital because it's haunted by a moonwalking poltergeist. So Jeff offers them to stay at his place, and Jeff lives in an old factory.
They were gonna tear it down, but I talked them into selling it to me for $1.
Cool.
The only way in or out of the building is a bridge that crosses a small ravine, and he's got a system set up so that it sounds like barking dogs are nearby if the front door opens. I guess you could say all his dogs have bark, but no bite, you know, and no body also, and also no dogs. Also, Jeff has cameras set up everywhere, and they come into play a bunch, so that's a big detail. We get a flashback of Jeff in an asylum of sorts, and it turns out that he had some mental instability issues. Everything is kept fairly vague, but it's clear to say that he's not all there. We also get a flash forward to see Jeff being interrogated by the police, and they mention that they found some blood in his van. When they get inside, Kim comes up to Jeff and, completely unprompted, says this.
They should have never let you out. You're a long way from sane.
So, that's kind of messed up, right? Like, she's psychically told that Jeff was in the hospital and decides to just taunt him about being crazy. Like, very cool, Kim. Very cool move. Stephen and Tristan go to bed for some rest, while the other three decide to watch through Jeff's footage from the night before to see what happened in their missing hours. While they're watching, they notice a strange rash on Kim's shoulder, but she insists that it's nothing. The tape footage suddenly flashes, and they see an image there, but they can't quite make it out, so Jeff says that he'll do some 2000s computer-enhancing magic to try and make the image clearer. In the meantime, Tristan falls asleep, but Stephen hears crying coming from outside. He goes outside to investigate and sees that same moonwalking girl from the hospital. When he goes back inside, Tristan has woken up, and she says that she also heard crying kids. In another flash forward, we see Stephen crying while speaking with the police.
I swear to Christ, it was an accident.
Scenes like this are a bit of a double-edged sword. Like, it does a decent job of setting up some suspense, letting us know that there is something kind of tragic that's going to happen, but at the same time, it's already shown us that 2 of our 5 main characters are definitely going to make it out of this apparent tragedy alive, so I don't know how to feel about the flash forwards. I don't think I like them, but they are in this movie. So there's that. Back to Jeff and the girls watching the footage.
Ladies and gentlemen, that there is a naked woman.
Jeff continues to enhance the naked lady's face, and when it's clear, it turns out to be Erica. Of course, this is a surprise to everyone, including Erica herself.
We were hoping you could explain things.
I don't have a clue.
You have no memory of doing this?
No.
They start to gently accuse her of drugging them or putting them under some kind of spell, but she ends up just running out of the room, both upset and scared of what the footage shows. Kim follows Erica and watches her wicking out for a few seconds.
Where are the fire, water, and smoke
Erica?
perceptions till I invoke? Where are the fire, water, and smoke?
Kim tries to comfort Erica, but Erica shows that she also has a rash, but it's developed into some strange markings just like Kim's have. Kim needs to calm down, so she goes on a beer run, but all of the locals are acting really strange towards her.
Sweet. Yo, Morticia. Hey, Elvira, I got something you can suck the blood out of.
Oh, yeah? Whip it out.
She grabs a six-pack, but the lady at the register is acting just as strange as the other locals. This lady is named Peggy, and someone should really just, stab her in the neck or something, you know what I mean? So, Peggy sees that she's gonna get a reaction out of Kim, so she flips on her camera just as Kim throws money at her face and storms out with the beer in hand. Kim has a bit of a scary drive. But she does make it to the factory house in one piece, so side quest complete. Although, when she grabs her beer, she does find the nail file that Peggy was using now covered in blood, so that's strange. The next day, Steven is ready to leave, deciding to take a chance with Tristan's health. But no one is going anywhere, because Jeff's van is now completely destroyed. They also discover that all of them now have those strange markings on their bodies, and they can't find Erica anywhere. They do find her clothes in the middle of her vibe circle, but there's no other trace of her. In another flash forward, we now see Kim being interrogated, but the marking on her shoulder is gone. A bit later, Jeff gets a call from the local sheriff who tells him to turn on the news. A report is playing about that other tour group that we saw earlier. Apparently, everyone from that group is dead now, and they were all arranged in a ritualistic way similar to those from the Blair Witch Project. The sheriff says that Jeff and his tour group are the #1 suspects since they were the last to see the other group alive, so none of them can leave town. Also, the sheriff just walks into the news shot and he does his cute little wave.
Hello? Hello?
Having nothing else to do, they all sit and do a little smoking to try and figure out what to do, but then Tristan calls over to them and says that she can see Erica outside. Erica's doing a dance around a tree, but she's naked, so here's a clip from the dead girl dance in Evil Dead 2, which I thought looked pretty similar. Steven goes outside to talk with Erica, but she's all cryptic and ends up walking backwards.
You know who it is,
What?
and you know what you have to do.
Then, the bridge in front of the door collapses, and Steven is barely able to climb back into the house. But now, everyone is even more stranded than before. And I think it's pretty funny because clearly this movie doesn't want the main crew to go anywhere, but they just cement it into the story. First, it was because of Tristan's health, and then it was because the van got destroyed, then the sheriff tells them that they're all suspects, and now the bridge is gone. We get it, Book of Shadows. These people are trapped inside of the factory house, and that's scary. Or maybe it's gonna be scary. And they can't get out. Ooh, it's claustrophobia! Inside, Tristan has completely lost it, and she's just dancing around on the bed singing about evil kids. She believes that she's having the dreams of the Blair Witch, like the same dreams that the witch had, I guess. And it's driving her mad.
Steven, I think I'm going crazy.
No.
Kim wants to call the hospital to get help with Tristan, but when she moves the yellow pages, she finds a stack of files hidden underneath. The files show pictures and backgrounds from everyone in the tour group, so she confronts Jeff about them, but he insists that they aren't his files, and he has no idea where they came from. And it turns out that he's telling the truth because we get another flash forward and see that these are actually the police files on each of the tourists. But what are they doing here and what are they doing in the past? It's a mystery. Maybe some tomfoolery? Or maybe it's just a question that will never be answered. Jeff gets another call from the sheriff, who says that he's right outside despite the bridge being broken. But when Jeff checks the cameras, the bridge is somehow back to normal. He goes out to the front door and, remember the dog security system? Well, when Jeff opens the door, he doesn't find the sheriff, but he does find actual dogs now. So naturally, he grabs a shotgun from the empty closet and heads back outside, but now the dogs are gone. So, why did any of this happen? Well, when Steven and Kim show up to see what's going on, they all turn to that previously empty closet to find Erica standing there, staring into the corner. Just like that one movie. It's so creepy. Except also when they turn Erica around, she's dead. So now, they're all trying to figure out what in tarnation is going on, and Steven and Jeff both blame each other for killing Erica. Then, Tristan walks up and starts talking about how everything seems to be so backwards, just like the little girl was walking backwards, and in the naked dancing scene that I can't show you, Erica was dancing backwards, and then Kim has her insane plot-driving psychic senses tell her to play the tapes backwards.
Well, this makes no sense.
I know it doesn't. Just please do it.
And this part is probably my favorite part of the entire movie, and that sucks because I definitely can't show that much of it because it's pretty graphic and disturbing and there's a lot of butts. But we see what happened in their missing hours, and it's pure, unsettling insanity. It shows them devolving as they drink and smoke, and they're all acting odd towards Erica, at least at first. It shows Steven destroying his own papers, and then Jeff destroying his own camera equipment, and each of them marking their own bodies with those strange symbols. Then, we see that somehow it was actually Tristan that was behind their odd behaviors, because she seems to be possessed or something like that. And when the tape finishes, they all turn to Tristan, who is now facing the other way, just like in that one movie. It's a good little scene.
What did you do, Tristan?
Steven, please tell them to stop. Why aren't you marked like this? Like the rest of us, like Erica.
What did you do to Erica?
Steven, why are you letting them do this to me?
So naturally, they all grab Tristan and Jeff shoves a camera into her face. He says that he won't go to jail for any of these people and he wants Tristan to confess to what she's done. And it's pretty funny because as they question her, we see Tristan go through multiple personalities as she climbs up the stairs.
You're all gonna die.
Tristan speaks in a demonic voice and says that Tristan is gone now. She wraps a rope around her neck and taunts Steven until he gets angry and shoves her, and she falls and is hanged. Then we cut to a little bit later.
Police arrested 3 obsessed movie fans who allegedly committed a series of ritualistic murders after watching last summer's blockbuster movie, The Blair Witch Project.
So now our timelines converge as Jeff and Steven and Kim are being interrogated by the cops for the murders of Erica and Tristan. Also, during Kim's interrogation, we find out that Peggy, the cashier from earlier, was also murdered. And the cam footage from the store shows Kim stabbing her with the nail file.
I didn't do that.
The cops show the 3 survivors the footage that they took, but when we see them, it doesn't show the events happen in the ways that we experienced. It shows Jeff place Erica's dead body in the closet, and it shows them all laughing and taunting Tristan while wrapping a rope around her neck while she begs for them to stop.
That tape is wrong! That's
And that is where this movie ends. I thought Book of Shadows was perfectly okay. Like, it's a sequel that isn't a copy-paste of the original, so that's nice, but it does really force you to remember that it's related to the first one despite its completely different concept, and I think that ended up being a little bit distracting. I think the acting was all pretty decent, and I did like the twists and how abrupt the ending was, but the horror was lame at best and laughable at worst. Like, every time we saw the little moonwalking kid, I couldn't help myself but crack up. I did like how the movie started with realistic news stuff, but I think it would have been a lot better without those flash forwards. So, I think this would be the perfect kind of movie to have on in the background or in like a group setting where you mostly just want to chat with your friends rather than have a really good movie to watch that would require your full attention. So yeah, I think it's perfectly midline. Like, it's the perfect midline example of what a horror movie is. So that's how I'm gonna rate it. It's 5 out of 10. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and a huge thanks to my YouTube members. I love you, and I promise not to sacrifice you in any of my Wiccan rituals. I'm a Wiccan now. I'm Creed the Wiccan. And anyways, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Tent's open! I'm going outside the tent. Something's outside. Somebody's been in our backpacks. They ate our food. Oh! Scooby-Doo!
Scooby-Dooby-Doo!